All right, today's presentation, we're going to go ahead and discuss in the principles of behavior management. We'll be doing the behavior resource presentation. My name is Francisco Cano. As educators, we have to know how to manage behavior in the classroom. Also, some of the stuff that we do has to be able to be presented to the parents of the children. As educators, we have to know what resources are available, what are my expectations for my students, what routines do I need to establish, are there any changes that need to be made, and are the parents involved? As parents and the parents of our students, we need to identify what the challenging behavior is. We need to identify what typical behavior is supposed to look like. Also try to establish some routines with the child. Continue behavior management techniques that have been established at the schools, and establish discipline strategies that work. Some of the resources that may be available at schools, there have certain programs to help children with behavior issues like rebound and stuff like that. There are other multiple different sources based on the school system where the children are attending. So it is up to the teacher to find those resources. Next thing is, are there any effective behavior management techniques for inclusion in the classroom? If so, let's go ahead and try to use those. What is the extent of what I'm able to do to manage behavior without violating the rights of students with disabilities? You have to be careful that you don't push the boundary as far as what you can and cannot do regarding punishment to these children. Also, what are the resources I can use to reduce disruptive behavior? Like timeout, giving them positive reinforcements, and other techniques. The expectations. We want to encourage positive behavior to prevent problem behaviors. We want to form building blocks for a positive school culture. We do that by establishing anywhere from about 3 to 5 expectations of our students. These expectations should be safe, respectful, and responsible, and they should address how we treat the students treat each other, how students treat their teacher, how students operate in the classroom, and it should be consistent, and that is the key for behavior management both in and out of the classroom. Establishing routine. We can establish routine both inside and outside the classroom as teachers and also with the parents. When we establish routine, we want to clearly communicate the behavior expectations to the students and to the parents. We want to establish a way to order and organize the children's lives. They can become more confident in both themselves and the world around them. Know that they will not be confronted with unfamiliar tasks that they may not be prepared for. Try to make sure that these things are not too rigid and have some flexibility to deal with some of the minor changes. Kids, like adults, need to make routines and have routines established. Some children can adapt to change much quicker than others, just like some adults are able to adapt to changes a lot quicker than others. You know, we have an old saying, semper gumby. Changes. What is causing that behavior? So, for example, why is the child feeling some anxiety in the classroom? Is it because of the environment? Is it because of another classmate that's becoming a problem and will not be quiet in class? Or is being very disrespectful to their classmates? And are they having difficulty with the lesson, or are they afraid to ask for help? So what can we do to help our children or our students? We need to help them, first of all, try to shift their focus and maybe redirect. Also set up and create goals. We can also help them set up behavior support plans that is something that is observable, that is objective, and measurable. Parental involvement. When teachers set up behavior support plans, we want to go ahead and define what the problem is. We want to analyze data. We want to create a plan with the help of parents for both home and school use. We want to set up an extinction plan, which is defined as the omission of previously delivered unconditioned stimuli or reinforcer. We want to attempt to remove that negative learned behavior by not reinforcing it. It could be caused by negative or positive or even by automatic reinforcement. A great way to manipulate behavior of the student is to catch it in the early stages. Also, in the early stages, this situation, or especially with the extension plan, it can create some anger, some frustration, and sometimes depression in some kids. No matter what, we need to stick to the plan unless it creates a violent or the child is at risk for self-injury. Even though extension might have been successful, parents and teachers need to be aware that old behaviors can return way after the process has ended. We may need to seek additional professional help from an applied behavioral analyst specialist if the extension plan is not working. Another thing that we can do for parents is shaping. With shaping, it is a method of behavior management that teaches new skills incrementally. We do this by praising the child or the student each step along the way, and this way it helps to shape the behavior a lot quicker. We want to go ahead and give attention when they are behaving well and ignore some of those mild misbehaviors that they might be doing. We want to teach positive behavior while providing a logical consequence and a reward system. But again, we want to be careful that we don't overdo it with the reward system, because sometimes when we do that, they have a tendency of possibly abusing it. Fading plan. Students begin to master a behavior and includes the backing off the level of instruction and supervision, as well as weaning the reinforcement that has been scheduled. This process continues until the student is able to perform the activity on their own. It is great for reinforcing because techniques use repetition. Some students do better with repetition as a way of learning, and it becomes more ingrained in them. The behavior chain. Behavior chain method is a method used by teaching a specific sequence of steps. Each of the steps has an association with what is being taught and gets reinforced as long as the person meets specific expectations for that step or condition. We want to ensure both teachers and parents consider the age, the cognitive level, and the student's abilities. Imitation. Imitation is the easiest technique for all of us to do, but at the same time, it can be very challenging because the concept is doing the same thing you are doing. Basically, they have to try to imitate you. This behavior is done with a pre-assessment, training, post-assessment, and set probes for imitative behavior. The goal of imitation is to have your child do something with a new learned behavior and they do it on their own. By imitating the model behavior, the child does not receive any reinforcers. They want to try to sometimes emulate their older siblings, so we have to make sure that the older sibling is setting an example. Provide immediate praise when correct imitation occurs throughout the day, such as great job. In conclusion, there are many different techniques or behavior management techniques that we can use both in the classroom and at home. Both parents and teachers need to work together, and not only on behavior management, but also positive reinforcing those behaviors. If behavior is not managed, it not only will become very disruptive for the teacher, but also the other students that would like to learn. And by doing this, by controlling their behavior, the student, both at home and at school, will feel like they are more confident in themselves and will gain the ability of self-control. Thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of the training.